I think you may have already picked up on this, but I am drawn to companies that make products, that make audio products that dare to be different, that step outside the usual course and really make something special. And I think nothing better exemplifies that worldview than this one here, the BorderPatrol DAC. But I removed the cover and I'm letting you see the inside. Yeah, that's different. That's very, very different. Big, chunky transformer chokes. The DAC chip itself is a new old stock Philips. It doesn't do upsampling or oversampling or digital filter, none of that stuff. By the way, the chassis itself is all copper. I wish it was that you could see all the copper. It's painted black, but the chassis itself, except for the faceplate, is pure copper. Oh, you'll also note that there's a tube in there, but the tube is a rectifier tube. It is part of the power supply. It is not in the signal path. So it is not there to provide a warm, tubey glow to the music. Have you noticed that the main circuit board, it's a vertical circuit board, is actually attached to a piece of wood? It is there presumably for damping purposes, as opposed to just leaving that board standing in free space. It's attached to a hefty chunk of wood. Let's look at the back panel. Super simple. There's analog outputs, RCA analog outputs, and on this version it has coax input and also USB. You can order it without USB. I mean, there's a few options. I will link to the website. You can see what your choices are in terms of connectivity. But that straying from the usual course and not chasing resolution is what really makes this DAC special. It's an old school design, just done to a very high standard, considering its price, by the way, which is, in its most basic form, with one input, in other words, $1,075. It is handcrafted in Waldorf, Maryland. There it is. It is sold, by the way, with a 14-day return policy. You can try it out for 14 days, and if you don't like it, send it back. And they also sell worldwide, and it is available in US voltage and also in 220 and 240. It's all there for you. So no matter where you are in the world and you're interested in this DAC, you can buy it directly from BorderPatrol. So I mentioned earlier that the BorderPatrol uses a Philips R2R resistor ladder DAC chip. And I thought, I should compare this with my Denafrips Aries, not an Aries 2, which uses a discrete resistor ladder DAC design. I'll show you a picture of the inside of the Aries. So you see, you can compare and contrast the insides of these two DACs. They look really different, right? You don't have to be a techie to see that. And boy, oh boy, do they sound different. Oh, there will be an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day at the conclusion of this episode. It's important, for some of you at least, you might be wondering, but does it do DSD? No direct stream digital inside this guy. And what about MQA, Steve? Does it do MQA? No MQA. It is just PCM straight ahead. Now, I used it to stream Tidal, Qobuz, and also just play CDs with the J's CD transport. And that's mostly what I did. I listened to standard res. I figured, this is an old school DAC, but it does play, according to BorderPatrol, up to 24-bit 96K files. I bought this DAC in 2017, and I've used it for my own listening pleasure, meaning not while I'm working and doing reviews. It's when I'm in the mood to just listen to music without being analytical and looking for the ultimate in detail and clarity and resolution and transparency and all that good stuff, which I really do love. But sometimes I just want to focus on the music itself without being analytical, basically. That's when I plug in the BorderPatrol and I listen. Now, by the way, you can bypass that tube rectifier. You can turn it on and off, and when it's off, you're listening through solid-state rectification. You can turn it on, you're using the tube rectifier. I can't say it's a day and night difference with it on or off. I tend to listen with it on because it is a little bit more musical with the tube rectifier, but it's not a biggie difference on or off. But this DAC really does bring out the music, and what it's leaving on the table, so to speak, is clarity, detail, airy, textury things. All that stuff is there, but it's not in your face. It's much more laid back than that. Not to say boring. It is not boring or bland sounding. It's just not giving you that detail that you will hear from other DACs, certainly including the Denafrips Aries that I mentioned earlier. And I'll get to that comparison in a little bit. But the first recordings that I played, to make notes on at least, for this review, was the Grateful Dead at the Fillmore East. The Dead loved playing the Fillmore East, apparently. They were such a San Francisco band, you wouldn't think it necessarily translated to New York audiences, but it absolutely did. The audiences loved them, and the Dead loved playing, specifically at the Fillmore. That room had such a great ambience, vibe to it, everything about that place was just so perfect for rock music. It was fairly big. It held 2,400 people, and the sound system was spectacular there. It was by far the best sounding place at that time in the late 60s. There was just something magical about the way Jerry Garcia's guitar, his sound, those notes just hung in space, filling that room. Absolutely amazing. And there it was, available to me over the Border Patrol. So there's, I just have to put it this way. The Border Patrol is a very music-first type DAC. It gives you the music. It's not going to give you all the clarity and detail and transparency and all that stuff in ways that the Aries can do and other DACs can do. It's not competing in that area. It's more about, here is the music. Here is the music, the way it sounded in a very natural, organic way. And when I switched back to the Aries, the Denafrips Aries, the sound was definitely clearer and more transparent and vivid even, but less soulful, less solid feeling, less, because when you listen to live music for real over a decent sound system, in a theater, or let's say no sound system and just the sound of acoustic instruments, it never sounds detailed and clear and transparent, right? It just sounds like it's there. That's kind of what the Border Patrol does. So I know I mentioned the Eric Clapton Unplugged in a recent review, and just do a quickie here. That was the next thing I played, and the difference between the Fillmore recording and the Eric recording was that Eric was doing it basically in a TV studio, so it had a much smaller room, a much smaller audience, and the miking and the whole perspective of the recording is much closer and more intimate on the Eric Clapton Unplugged. And both DACs, the Denafrips and the Border Patrol, definitely revealed that. But the Aries definitely did a better job in terms of hearing that perspective shift. With the Border Patrol, the naturalness of the sound itself, of the unplugged nature of that session, came through. It did not sound hyped. It just sounded like it was there in front of me. This new Pat Metheny recording was done in 2019. It's a live recording, and it's really good. I think his playing is extraordinary, but it is a little too EQ'd, a little too compressed, a little too processed for me. And again, the Border Patrol made that more enjoyable to listen to. And when I was listening over the Aries, I was just more aware of the production decisions that were made on the Pat Metheny that I don't particularly appreciate. So again, in terms of smoothing the trip, so to speak, the Border Patrol was ahead of the Aries because the Aries was giving me a bit, let's say, too much information. Leon Bridges, by the way, is a great singer. And the way these two DACs handled vocals were, again, interesting. The Aries, in terms of phrasing and timing and definition and all that stuff, it was ahead of the Border Patrol. But the Border Patrol made the record just sound more organic, more like an analog recording, if you will. Yeah, I would even go that far that the Border Patrol made it sound like, it's such retro soul music. When I'm listening over the Border Patrol, it sounds more like, yeah, this could have been, 1968 or something. So it's a study in contrast. The Border Patrol is beautiful sounding. So now it's time so Steve, what do you really think? I think it's pretty clear what I think. I think that the Border Patrol is the ideal DAC for audiophiles who are music-first audiophiles, people who aren't obsessed with hearing clarity and detail and transparency and all that stuff. If you just want to settle in and listen to music and not think about all that, audiophile stuff, and you just want music to sound nice and beautiful and rich and organic and like it's right there, yeah, I think you're a Border Patrol, potential Border Patrol buyer. But the Border Patrol is, I was going to say, a singular sensation in that it stands apart from pretty much all other DACs in its sound, all other contemporary DACs. So if that fits your worldview of audiophileness, yeah, I think it's worth considering. And now I can say it is time for the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. We have a double system this time, and it's from JC in Houston, Texas. 2 sets of speakers, Tecton Troubadours in a custom finish, and Klipsch Heresy Force. 2 amplifiers. First one is a Prima Luna Evo 400 and also a Denon PMA 600NE. The CD player is a Denon DCD 600NE. And the turntable is a Cambridge Audio Alva with an Ortophon 2M black cartridge. Streamer is an acrylic A50 Plus. And last, but far from least, is a vintage Pioneer SX1000 TW receiver. Thanks, JC. Okay, we are back, and my name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. If you like these videos that I've been showing you for over the past 4 years, please give them likes when they deserve it. And you might also want to consider, if you have yet to subscribe, if you have yet to subscribe, you might want to join us on the push to 200,000 subscribers. If you have already subscribed, thank you so much for doing so. And the other thing that you might enjoy is my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac, and I will link to that in the description below this video. And with that, I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.